Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of G.M.E. Reviews. I'm your host, Dragon Project, and today we have a special guest in the building,
Woo.
VCat.
Hello.
Why don't you introduce yourself, VCat?
Oh man, well, I'm VCat. I am really good friends with Dragon Project here, and we've been friends for a long time, and I'm just visiting from foreign lands.
That's right.
To make this little video.
There we go. We're both film buffs, and we just overall enjoy a good cinema, a good TV show.
Yes.
Just entertainment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what we thought would be a good episode would be if we were to discuss our top. Are we going to do our top three or just top one?
The three movies that have surprisingly been impactful for us, and it might just be this time and place in our lives. My first one, I would say Toy Story 3 was surprisingly impactful. You've seen it?
I have, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, obviously I like Toy Story. I didn't really like the second one. I think a lot of people hold that opinion for some reason. And the first one I watched, it was one of the first Pixar movies. I think, was it the first Pixar movie, maybe? So it would make sense if it was the first one I watched.
Yeah.
No one had seen a Pixar movie. But I think, it was one of the first movies I owned. And so I watched it a lot. And it just represents childhood in so many ways. So then to see the third one in theaters as an adult, and then seeing Andy say goodbye to his childhood, and then I felt older too. I was like, oh my God, I grew up with him. This is me.
Yeah, for real. So we were Andy.
It really hurt. I was like, oh, this is so sad. But yeah, it just was a reminder of we're older now, and you can't go back, but you can always take your time to appreciate the things that got you to where you are today.
Most Disney films and most, I think, childhood films, I feel like that they could be seen at any age, right? So do you think that this is something that where when you are 50, you'll be like, oh shit, damn, I just want to watch some Toy Story 3.
Oh, definitely. And it would be even more different of an experience if I have kids and then I see them grow up, then I might relate more to the mom because she's not really seen that much, but sometimes I do listen to her in the background oh, my Andy, he's growing up.
Yeah.
I'm I don't relate to her, but if I'm 50 years old and I have kids, I might, and then it might take a whole new spin of innocence and childhood and moving on and stuff like that, and just aging, I guess.
Question for you is that, do you think, especially with now, we are seeing the dawn of a new Aladdin. We're seeing of a Aladdin that's a live action, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing all these live action films. Would you be okay with, and do you feel it would be something that you would still be into if Toy Story franchise / Toy Story 3 was a live action film?
Ooh, I feel it's going to turn into one of those things where every generation's going to say oh, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
It was so better. The original was so much better. We don't need to remake it. Mm-hmm. But then the new generations will probably be oh, well, this is the way to watch it. Why would you want the 2D, or why would you not want to go to 4D and full immersive experience? But yeah, so I'm just going to stick to I like what the original was. And if, 20 years from now, 10 years from now, they make a live version of it, maybe I would watch it. But I don't know. Can I reference Attack on Titan?
Sure, of course.
I'm not interested in watching the live version of that.
Yeah.
Something about the anime, the 2D is more captivating to me than live action would provide me. I'd rather watch it in its original format. Well, I guess the original would be the manga, huh? But
no, but like you were saying before, though, right? It's there's always not just a generation or some kind of subset or some category that's ooh, this isn't the real thing. You're not getting that full experience. So yeah.
No, I would prefer. I like it as it is, and even though I'm planning to watch the new Aladdin and the new Lion King, it's not going to take over what the original provides me. The original just has a nostalgia to it that's what I saw growing up, not this one. So if I'm at any point in my life want to feel that nostalgia, I'm going to watch the original one, not the fancy schmancy new one.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think, being like you were saying, like we grew up with Andy, and we grew up with, Aladdin. We grew up with all these kind of films that are coming out, like are being kind of repurposed now. And
Jumanji.
Yeah, like Jumanji. I guess my question, about Toy Story 3 is that, like, what would you say the message is in Toy Story 3? And like we'll just start off with what's the message did you think in Toy Story 3?
Well, I thought it was a nice closure to just this full circle of kind of like the circle of life, like with Lion King, Simba takes over and now he's the main guy, he's the Lion King. And so in Andy, obviously, sorry, this is a weird reference, but it makes sense, just hear me out. Like, Andy's the kid that we grew up with, but then he donates all those toys to the new girl, the new little child who's still full of whimsy and wonder and isn't thinking about college. She just wants to play with her toys, and he leaves them for her. So in that sense, it's like, let me pass on my childhood to you. And then that kind of seems full circle. So I think to me, it just means like accepting like, okay, this is a new chapter and I have to move forward, and nostalgia serves its purpose, but at some point everybody has to say goodbye. Like Andy has to learn how to say goodbye to his toys. And also, it was harder for Woody and them, right? Like they didn't want to accept that he had grown up. So I think it's just a lot of acceptance of not being able to change the way things are and the way life is, and just being happy for the moments that you did share and moving on from that.
Retracing the film and like really thinking it over. No, it's very true. Like I think that there is a theme of uncontrollable change, but how you manage in that change, and I think that it is really powerful when it's stated like that. I think something that I do remember being really important was the moment when, like you said, when Andy gave his toys away. Like something about that was just like,
it instantly tear jerked me. I was like, what?
Yeah, it was powerful. I think something else that was really cool was you remember there was a hesitation.
There was, especially
yeah,
with his last most cherished toy. He's like, oh wait, this is, and he had thought about taking it with him to college.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you're right. I never even thought about like, why wouldn't he keep them for his own kids? But I think that would still be holding on too much.
Exactly. That's what exactly. It's like it would still be a level of control in a space of like change, of like the theme of uncontrollable, like this is a new time of my life right now. So.
Oh yeah. That whole scene is so sad. It's like bittersweet though, because you're like, he has to do it. Like he just has to grow up. And he has to face it as a man, not as the little boy that he was. But these toys helped him become that person.
And they might help her become that, the next person that whatever she wants to be as well.
Well, what's yours?
One of mine is Meet Joe Black.
Okay.
I feel like I'm sure I've at least mentioned it to you over the years.
I remember you gave me the DVD to watch, and I saw it once, and I don't think I was ready for it because I couldn't tell you what happened, but someone's a ghost?
Well, yeah, so it's basically it's basically just death takes a holiday.
Okay.
Right? One of the things that kind of made me just love Meet Joe Black so much was that I felt like the character Brad Pitt, he plays Death. I felt the weight of death through his acting. Right? There was no like he's this dark shadow that looms behind him every time he does something or anything like that. No. And I felt like this film like did so much with so little. And so there was no real CGI. The writing was great. Anthony Hopkins was in it, one of my favorite actors. So I don't know, but it's just hands down one of my favorite films.
I'm gonna have to watch it again because I totally can't comment on any of it. Like I feel like you gave it to me like to watch. I must have been like 18, 19.
Yeah, we were young. Yeah.
And I don't think I hadn't even taken my film studies course at that point. So I didn't know how to interpret certain things of movies. And like, I remember watching it and just being like, huh, this is what he likes? Okay.
It was like freaking 18, 19. And like, this is the kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It is kind of funny.
How long is he on holiday for?
For a while.
Who tells him he can go on holiday? Or is it his choice?
It is his choice, because I think that's another thing about like what's so interesting about death is that like this thing is a force. Like it's not it's an entity given the ability to feel. All right, your next film.
Next one, Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, and that obviously is because I think at that time I must have been going through a breakup. I think I was. Yeah, I remember. I was going through a breakup, and, you know, I just want to be sad. I'm like, I want to play sad movies and sad songs. And I'd heard about this movie. I'd never seen it, though, so I was like, why not? And it really, really hit home for me because, you know, there I am. Like, up until that point, like, I had always... Like, I don't think I really knew how to process a breakup until that movie. Because that movie showed me that it's okay to just accept that actually, now that I say it, like, it sounds similar to Toy Story, where, like, you just accept that some things happen and you just appreciate the good times that you had, but that it's not going to continue. And you can't force yourself to be in a relationship with this person if there were clearly so many things that were going wrong. And I think that movie definitely taught me how to process a breakup.
Yeah, I've still never seen that film.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard it from multiple sources that like it is like insanely great, and
I really like, and
creative.
Jim Carrey's great in it.
When I think of Jim Carrey, I mean, now there's a few films out of him that I'm like, oh dang, this is kind of menacing, or like this isn't whatever. Like, so do you think that like the casting was good?
I think it was. I liked him in that role a lot, like, because he was very. I think one of the things that comedians, or like I hear a lot about this about comedians, that they're very humorous and funny because they're very like jaded or kind of hurt on the inside, so they learn how to make light of things to that's their processing, or that's their healing, or whatever. And he really shows that kind of vulnerability when he's sad about the heartbreak and unsure about how this is going to play out. And he's just kind of a timid character, which I never would have imagined him in, but it was so believable. Like, I really, really liked his character.
Do you think that it's a message that like will overall be carried, like almost like how we were talking about Toy Story, right? It's like, do you think that this is a message that will be carried or could be carried through time?
I definitely think so, because I think that that's what we should learn in breakups, that just even like it could be a breakup with a friend, like just because they're not in your life right now, maybe some terrible thing happened, or you just don't get along anymore. Like, you shouldn't just block every good and bad thing about them, because at some point in your life, like, you were really happy to have them there. And even though they're not there for the rest of the journey, they still helped you for maybe the next relationship or the next friendship or the next whatever, I don't want to say like a stepping stone, like I'm not specifically the person, but in a sense, those experiences are like, you learn from them and you grow from them, and then you take that experience, hopefully, and then apply it to the next.
My second is a French film called Beau Travail.
Oh yeah, that one?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's
I don't think I've seen it.
Well, okay, so what makes this film super dope to me is that it was shot by a female DP, and her artistic kind of way of shooting like these men in these like barren wastelands with these like, you know, crazy like open mountaintop like ranges, and like how it's shot through a perspective in a way that I've never seen before. It's like usually in most films where it's like a film of revenge, it's like a whole bunch of blood, cuts, and like, you know, punching and fighting and all that stuff. But like, no, like this was like all like, it's like stare downs and like aggressive poses and like these like powerful kind of like movements, you know, with like this crazy intense music and vast landscapes. It's a beautiful film. So what is your third film?
I think, what would you guess? Starts with L.
Hell.
L.
Love Actually?
No.
What?
Legally Blonde.
Oh,
That is not what you were thinking.
Honestly, no, I didn't know. I didn't.
What did you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say 500 Days of Summer.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, you know what? Because if you would have seen Eternal Sunshine,
yeah,
you would see how they're very, I think they parallel each other. But one is a lot easier to watch, and the other one's like, okay, let's do it. Or at least for me it was. So, yeah, and speaking of it, Legally Blonde. So when I go through a breakup now, that is my movie order. I go, I'll start with 500 Days of Summer, just because I want to laugh again.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm so sad. I want to laugh. And
I'm
then
so sad.
And then it gets kind of sad again.
Yeah.
But because it stabs me a little in some parts, I'm like, okay, I'm still wounded. Let's just dive deeper. And that's when I watch Eternal Sunshine. And when I'm like, oh, it's okay, there's sunshine on the horizon, that's when I watch Legally Blonde. Because it's such a good movie for like, get over him, girl. Like, move on. Things will get better. And that's something I really like too. It's just like, sometimes you spend so much time trying to prove yourself to somebody and you're like, they're not going to change their minds, you know, like, and sometimes it's hard to accept that because you really want someone's approval. But when you realize like, all I need to do is make myself powerful and strong, then screw them. Like, I don't need to do this for anyone but myself anymore. So that's a really good message. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but yeah, things get hard, but things get better. And she believes in herself, even though nobody else did. And the guy got engaged to this other girl. And obviously you would think that these girls would like be catfight, evil to each other. I'll spoil this for you. They end up becoming best friends.
Oh, wow.
And so that was a really nice message. It's like, she doesn't have to be your enemy. Like, it just is what it is. But you don't have to go out there and be malicious and a nasty girl. Like, you just do your own thing and see what happens, you know, but don't go out there like with vengeance and like, I'm going to try to get him to cheat on her. I'm going to be like nasty, malicious. No, like, it's just like, no, I'm going to study and I'm going to prove people that I'm smart and prove to people. And she just studied. Like, I mean, that's amazing. That's a great, like, I'm going to study. Yes, I got here for the wrong reasons, maybe because she was following a guy, but she reevaluated what she wanted. She's like, no, I really want this, so I'm going to stay, and I'm going to commit and succeed.
That is dope. That sounds pretty...
Surprisingly, yeah, I was like, oh, I like this. I like the message. And she never changed her ditzy kind of demeanor either.
That was going to be a question of mine, actually. I was going to see if like there was some kind of like, oh, like, now I'm an elite. You know what I mean? Like, no, but that's cool. Only
when she tried to change it, she wasn't herself anymore, and she was out of her element. But when she just realized, like, the two, they don't have to be mutually exclusive. Like, I can be feminine and quirky and fun and like fashion and stuff, but I can also like get my job done. And I think that's really, like, not that me and her have the same similarities or anything. It's just more like, you don't have to sacrifice yourself in order to achieve something that you don't think like they pair. It's like, why doesn't my personality pair with success? Like, it should, because you're working towards it, instead of just saying like, no, I can only like one and that would get in the way of the other. Like, no, they can both exist if you work at it. I think people should give it a chance. And your final Finale.
I would say, in my head, back and forth, I was battling between The Great Gatsby or Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. Both directed
you do
by.
Like that movie.
Yeah. Wait, say it again.
You do like that movie.
Yeah, I know. I know. I've been talking again. It's like these films I've been talking about since I was like 17 to 18. You know what I mean? So yeah, I love me some Baz Luhrmann.
That's the director of Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
Right? I remember this. Yeah.
His style, I think Baz Luhrmann is just one of the best directors. I think that he's like John Woo. Like, it's like if you look at a John Woo film, like you're like, oh, shit, that's John Woo. And yeah, Baz Luhrmann to me is one of the best. And I think I really am a fan of like his fast cuts and interesting transitions. I'll say Romeo and Juliet. How they interpreted the Romeo and Juliet story into like the modern world was just beautiful. You know, like using actual weapons and guns and calling them swords, and like just how artistic and creative it was. John Leguizamo was one of the best. Like he was Tybalt, I think, and Mercutio. Mercutio, I can't remember his name, but like just the rage and like just like how much you felt him. I felt there were moments, I will say, as like a down play, is like I didn't feel their love. I felt their acting abilities. Like I think from the cuts, from the editing, from the cinematography to the vibrant colors to even how they just the hyper kind of dramatic and intensity of it all. So
yeah, and that is the director's style. It just feels like super intense sometimes, where I'm like, oh my god, I'm getting information overload, but you're still there.
Exactly.
You're still like, I'm in it. Just tell me what's next.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't think I've seen any of those movies now, but you sold them, so
nice.
I will have to give them a go, but especially now that I've heard your insider tips about them.
Well, thank you so much, VCat. Thank you just so much for coming down and discussing and just having a.
Of course, Dragon. Anytime. I hope there's more and more episodes to come.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're gonna try to make this a thing. You know. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you'd like to support, please click the links below. But if not, just please give us a like, a share, or whatever. And I appreciate you guys for listening. Thank you. And enjoy your day.
Bye.
You walk into my life, give me the worst news a guy can get. You know, you're spooning with my daughter.
I love him.
I don't care if you love him.
Easy, Bill. You give yourself a heart attack and ruin my vacation.
Let's show our new friends where they'll be staying.
Folks, if you want to step right this way. Hi, I'm Ken.
Barbie.